birthday in Australia. Queen's birthday. Oh well, happy birthday, Queen. Thanks for the day off. So we're out and about wandering around on the XS1100. I've been sorting through a few issues with this thing in the background. The first one, as I mentioned in another update, was the manifolds split. I have replaced them, and that part has been sorted out. Now, I was warned when I first fitted the I first eliminated the airbox that the carburetor's bouncing up and down unsupported on both ends could potentially cause issues with the manifolds. And Brett Summers, you did point that out to me. So I mean, essentially, when the airbox is bolted to the frame, the carburetors are suspended between the airbox and the engine. But of course, when you remove the airbox, like I have, the carburetors can bounce up and down, and that can damage the manifolds, which it did. But we've put new ones on. I will at some point in the not too distant future fabricate a bracket to support the back of the carburetor, or support the carburetors. Now the other thing that bloody will happen to me was it started to become difficult to start. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't ignition or fuel related, it was the starter motor wouldn't crank. It slowly started getting worse. Put your thumb on the button, and I thought, well, I've got a Motocell lithium-ion battery, and I've had that in this bike for 4 years. And I thought, wow, that's not a bad run, you know. And it started to get really bad, to the point where it wouldn't turn over at all. You'd put your thumb on the button, and I could watch my voltmeter here, and it just dropped right down. I figured, oh well, she's just about chooched her last. Cranking amps have fallen away, so I bought a new one. And what I did was I basically just went like for like replacement, and I managed to track one down from a business in Brisbane. Can't remember what the name of they are now. And it only cost me $100, so lob that in there. But it didn't fix it. No! Ah, well, first rule of troubleshooting, always do the simple thing first, so just swap the battery out. But because the way the bike's set up, it's impossible really to just go and put another type of battery in there. What I could have done, and what I should have done, was just grabbed any other old battery and set it up with jumper leads and tested the starter. But no, like a dickhead, I just made assumptions. So anyway, I got this brand new battery, and it made absolutely zero difference. So I thought, ah, bugger. Starter motor. So I yanked the starter motor out, opened it up, and lo and behold, the brushes and everything pretty good, armature, everything fine, but it was filled with engine oil. So this is yesterday, in between shooting the fitting the chemical liner into the GS11 fuel tank, which the video is now on Patreon. You'll see it on YouTube coming soon. Yeah, so I stripped it apart on the bench. It was chockers with engine oil. So first thought was, is there a seal on the shaft? Because these have a reduction gearbox in them, these starters on the XS11, a bit like the old Valiants. So yeah, there's a little reduction box on the end of it, and my first thought was there should be probably a seal on that shaft, the output shaft of that gearbox, to prevent oil ingress. However, I'm not convinced that there is one. I haven't stripped it right down. All I did was clean it, dry it out, put it back together again, throw it on the bike, and it's working beautifully. In fact, I don't think it's ever worked as good. But it also had me thinking, I hope that crankcase breather's doing its job, you know. So there's a couple of more things I need to follow up on there. I've got a spare starter. I opened it up last night, and it didn't have any oil in it, so I might actually just strip its gearbox and see if there is an O-ring or a seal on that shaft that may have failed, or if not, I'll have to go and look at whether or not my crankcase breather's doing its job. So yeah, that's where we're at, but yeah, I just want to go for a ride. Last minute decision. I just might go down the wharf. I'll tell you what, winter in Hobart now. There is a champion of Hobart by the name of David Walsh, and David Walsh is the owner of a magnificent museum called MONA, M-O-N-A, Museum of Old and New Art, and he's really out there, man, and that museum's really out there too. It's got some very confronting exhibits, and every year, see this red cross, this inverted red cross, that's part of a winter celebration called Dark MOFO. And Dark MOFO is essentially one big art exhibition throughout Hobart. See all these red crosses? They illuminate at night. It looks amazing down here. And there's a couple other buildings that have gone on board with Paint It Red, I think is the name of the exhibit. So there's all of these different buildings that illuminate red at night, including the Hobart Cascade Brewery. And my wife and I went and did a ghost tour there that they're doing during Dark MOFO, and it was really good. And there's some really controversial artists that they always get in, someone that's going to stir the pot, and it's no different this year. They have this massive feast too called the Winter Feast, which is a celebration of cooking with fire, and you can imagine it. Might just pull up. So what it's done is it's all these controversial artists and that they bring in. He really stirs the pot, and a lot of it's very confronting. A couple of the ones that have made the papers, people get all up in arms. A couple of ones that have made the paper recently. There's a gentleman, I can't remember his name, someone Parr, he's an artist, and he is being buried in the main street for 3 days. So what they've done is they've dug this big pit, we'll go for a drive over it later, on Macquarie Street, and they've buried this chamber in there, and it's only a small thing. It's smaller than a shipping container, and it's not very high. And I think all that's in there is a stool. And he's going to be buried in there for 3 days, and the traffic is driving over the top of him. People are going, stupid, da 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 da. Well, in my view, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. And that's exactly what it's doing. And people are saying, what a waste of money, what a waste of time. You know, how much did taxpayers have to pay to rip up Macquarie Street and bury this chamber in there and da-da-da-da. Who cares? And a lot of it is paid for by the museum anyway. So all of these red crosses, they all represent part of the Mona, the Dark MOFO stuff. So, that's our Parliament House. So, all power to them. And there's another one, the inverted crosses that you saw. A lot of people up in arms about that. They think it's, you know, demon worshipping and all this sort of nonsense. Great, because it gets people all around Australia and all around the world talking about Dark MOFO and talking about Hobart. And that's what we want. Has the desired effect. And Princess Wharf #1 is where the Winter Feast is taking place. As the Aurora Australis. It goes down to it's the research ship for Antarctica. So Dark MOFO, yeah man, bring it on. And oh, the wood they're going to burn. They have these great fire pots. Last year they had some guy butchering animals and there's blood and guts everywhere, and the audience participated in it. It was this, and it just drove people crazy. You know, they tried to ban it. I haven't been down this way for a while. I might go for a ride. So the other controversial artist, and there's all look. I'll put a link in the description to the Dark MOFO website and also the Mona website, because the Mona Museum is just amazing. It's world famous. So the other controversial artist is an Islamic man, and I can't remember his name either because I didn't really prep for this. This is ad hoc. Now, he was a former recruiter for ISIS, and he now is a peace activist, and he was coming here to speak. And what a, you know, he'd be a bloody interesting bloke to listen to, I reckon. But he's been held up in London, visa issues. Go figure. So I don't know whether he's actually going to get here, but what I think Walshy wants to do is put him on a big screen and if we can't get him here, he's going to have his say anyway. So yeah, Dark MOFO. It spreads out all over town. There's all these different little exhibits. There's music. It's a celebration of winter, and it's a celebration of food and music and art. And I think it is brilliant. And they even have a winter solstice swim. So on the 22nd of June, oh, that was a big hole. 22nd of June, you know, hundreds of people go down to the beach, and not far from where we are right now actually, and they all nude up and jump in the bloody river and go for a swim. Freezing, you can imagine it. I mean, yeah, I mean, we know, don't we guys, cold water, whew, it looked like a small stack of buttons. But yeah, they do it. You know, politicians and local bloody radio personalities, everyone gets involved, and yeah, it's all really cool. And it's especially cool because all the fuddy-duddies. Ah, you can't go swimming in the nude, and the bloody is disgusting. Well, I reckon it's cool, man. As I said, the Mona Museum's got a couple of out there controversial exhibitions. One of them's a poo machine. It is literally a digester that makes poo. That stinks, man. Since they're pooing all day. And another one that's pretty controversial is a massive wall of vaginas. There's all these plaster casts of vaginas, and I think the display's called and other conversations. You didn't hear that first word because I blipped it out, but that's what it's called. Yeah, so you can walk along there with my wife and I. We haven't been for a while, and we probably should go back and have another look because they're always changing, it's always evolving. But yeah, you can walk along there with your wife and make silly comments about, oh, I recognise her. So this is Macquarie Street. The two main streets in Hobart, Davey Street, which is coming into Hobart, and this is Macquarie Street, which is heading out of Hobart. They're both one-way streets, obviously. And just here is where they're going to bury that dude. We're coming up on it. Such a beautiful city. It's right here somewhere. Right there. So that's where they're going to bury this snoozer. Good on him. So they've got the box in there now, and they're just going to excavate it, shovel him in there, fill it back up, and he'll have traffic running over him. I hope they've got a bloody carbon monoxide flame monitor. I'm sure that they've taken all safety precautions. They wouldn't have been able to do it if they hadn't. Now, I seem to remember reading a thing about the reason he's doing that is basically to draw attention to people that have been in that buried alive situation, and it's also something to do with reconciliation with the Aboriginals, and they weren't none too happy about that. They thought there was plenty of other ways that they could be, but you know, hey, if it brings attention, who cares? So yeah, Mona and Dark MOFO, check it out. Now, speaking about Monas and Dark MOFOs, Delboy, what the actual f***, mate? If you've been living under a rock or you don't follow Matt at the workshop, you know, there's been an ongoing, well, I don't need to go over the whole story, but essentially, Delboy's latest little escapade is he called the police and had them go and drag Matty down the police station, and was accusing him of harassment and cyberbullying, and of course it was all shit. Now I'll put a link in the description and in the corner to Matt's video so that you can go and check it out. I'm not going to steal his thunder. But Delboy, seriously, man, what the hell are you doing? You can't, you know, and if anyone's gone on there and made a comment, and you can still see your comment, you're sitting there smugly chortling away to yourself, don't feel special because nobody else can see it. That's how he's operating. All you'll read on these comments in his videos is what a master craftsman he is. And if anyone has seen the ongoing saga that is the tailpiece on the hammered dog shit bike, man, that is bloody painful. Just chuck the thing in the shed, finish it quietly, show everyone when it's done, because you know, you're making a meal of it. Everything you touch, you wreck. You go going about it all the wrong way. You stuff shit up, and it's ugly. And you know, he's starting to lose subscribers, and it's maybe because a lot of people are starting to wake up to his bullshit. And the other thing is, I think that, you know, this been going on too long, that bike, and he needs to sort himself out. He's just put out another video too on how to make a gasket. Don't do it like that. You don't need to glue stuff to flaming your cases. Using blue Hylamar. Now, Hylamar is a great product, and I've got it on the cylinder head of this bike because I was having issues trying to seal it. And in fact, Rolls-Royce on some of their engines, I don't know whether they still do, but they used to have zero gasket. It was only Hylamar. Now, but you don't need to do that. All you got to do is lay the cardboard over the top of the piece you want to make the gasket for. Get a ball peen hammer, a small one, and start gently tapping, because the machine surfaces of the castings have always got a nice sharp edge, and it's important that you start with the holes. I've seen people use balls out of ball bearings, tap them in there, but ball peen hammer works fine. Just tap, 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 and start with the holes, and then you start with the inside of the gasket, or the most flimsy part, what's going to be the most flimsy part of the gasket, and then you finish with the easy bits. And yeah, you can cut a gasket. Doesn't make you a rocket scientist. I'm going to keep moving. Enjoy the day. Thanks again, Queen. You truly are the champions. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Don't bother commenting on Moonfleet 41. Go and watch Matt's video. Plan a trip to Hobart to visit Dark and participate in Dark MOFO. And I'll catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.